You feel it before the words even form in your mind, an invisible vibration, pressing softly against your awareness, like the hum of a hidden frequency that was always there, waiting for you to notice. You didn't stumble here by chance. The quantum field doesn't deal in coincidence. It arranges encounters with precision, weaving invisible threads across time and space until a single message lands in your path at the exact moment your consciousness is ready to receive it. That moment is now. Look closely at the sensation in your body, a subtle shiver, a tingling across your skin, perhaps even the sudden quickening of your breath. These are not random. They are signatures of recognition, markers of alignment. They are your inner compass whispering, "Pay attention, because this is for you." Only those already encoded with the resonance of awakening can feel this pull. You are one of them. For years, perhaps for lifetimes, you've sensed that reality was layered, that what your eyes showed you was only the surface of something far more intricate. You've walked through days with déjà vu pressing at your temples, with strange synchronicities following you like shadows that refuse to let go. Numbers repeating, dreams spilling into waking life. People saying words that echoed exactly what your soul was already thinking. These were not accidents. They were coordinate signposts leading you here. The universe is a mirror, but not a flat one. It bends, warps, refracts, creating loops that draw you back into the same lessons until you finally break through. Tonight, or today, whenever this message found you, you have stepped out of the passive role of repeating patterns. You've crossed into a threshold where your awareness becomes the master key. The observer loop has shifted, and because you are watching, reality is rearranging itself around you. Imagine the unseen architecture of the cosmos, threads of entanglement weaving across billions of lives, all pulsing with coherence when one node awakens. That node is you. And the moment you lean into this awareness, your field begins to ripple outward, sending signals into the collective consciousness that will alter the trajectory of countless souls. You are not just hearing words. You are absorbing a transmission coded to your DNA. This is not just a video. It is an initiation. The quantum pull that drew you here is proof of your readiness, proof that the patterns which once held you captive are loosening. The timeline you once thought was fixed is not as rigid as it seemed. You are standing at the edge of a phase transition, a place where one small adjustment in awareness creates a seismic shift across the entire structure of your destiny. Breathe into that. Feel the gravity of it. The truth is alive in you right now, and it is undeniable. Only the selected ones feel this call. Only the ones whose souls have agreed to awaken in this cycle arrive at this point of recognition. And here you are, trembling at the threshold, aware that nothing in your life will ever be the same after this. Your initiation has already begun. You already know the patterns I am about to describe, because they have been stalking you for years, maybe for decades, like shadows stitched into the fabric of your everyday life. The reason you feel a strange unease in certain rooms, the reason time folds in on itself when you walk certain streets, is because you have been caught in observer loops, repeating cycles of déjà vu, distorted timelines, and echoes of the same lessons dressed in different costumes. Think back to the moments that felt almost identical to ones you had lived before. The conversations where you could predict the exact words before they were spoken. The arguments that seemed scripted, as though the universe had put you in the same scene again and again to test whether you would choose differently this time. Even the places you've moved, the jobs you've taken, the relationships you've entered, they often carried the same energetic signature as what came before. And no matter how far you tried to run, the patterns followed. That's because time is not linear in the way you were taught. It folds like origami. It loops back on itself, forming spirals of probability. Until your consciousness evolves, the quantum field keeps recycling scenarios, hoping that the observer you will finally collapse the wave differently. Until then, you remain trapped in morphic resonance, bound to scripts written long before you became aware of them. You've felt the distortion. Some days stretch endlessly, as if dragging you through molasses, while others collapse so quickly, you wonder where the hours disappeared. This is not random. It is the quantum drag of incoherence, the friction between the reality your soul longs to manifest and the one your subconscious patterns keep summoning. It feels like being out of rhythm with your own destiny, like hearing the music of the cosmos but being forced to dance off-beat. The deeper frustration has always been this. You knew you were different, yet the world around you seemed determined to pull you back into conformity. You tried to explain the tingling premonitions, the dreams that came true, the gut feelings that warned you before events unfolded. But most people laughed it off, called it coincidence, or dismissed it as paranoia. They could not see that your nervous system was already tuned to a higher resonance, already picking up the static of future probabilities bleeding into the present. And so you carried it alone. You carried the weight of knowing that something was profoundly off, that the ordinary world was only a fraction of the truth. You carried the tension of walking through crowded rooms and feeling the invisible energies people tried to hide, the anger, the envy, the grief, the unspoken secrets. Their masks never fooled you. You saw through them before they even opened their mouths. This is why you often felt exhausted, drained by interactions others considered normal. They never understood that you weren't just dealing with words, but with the raw charge behind them. With the psychic residue people left hanging in the air, they couldn't feel how those unacknowledged patterns echoed inside your own body, creating sensations of déjà vu that felt like living inside a distorted mirror. You may have even wondered if something was wrong with you, if your sensitivity was a curse instead of a gift. But understand this, your heightened perception is evidence that your consciousness has already been tugging against the gravity of the old loop. The reason you feel so dissonant in ordinary environments is because you are not ordinary. You are standing at the seam between worlds, between outdated timelines, and the new coherence trying to be born through you. Every déjà vu was a signal. Every distorted day, every repeated argument, every strange shiver when you walked into certain spaces. These were all notifications from the quantum field, alerting you that you were nearing the exit point of the loop. The frustration, the exhaustion, even the despair you carried at times, none of it was meaningless. It was pressure building for a breakthrough. The truth is, the loops weren't punishing you. They were training you. They were teaching you to recognize the subtle architecture of reality, to feel the repeating waves so acutely that you could no longer ignore them. They were pushing you to sharpen your awareness until you could finally see the pattern for what it was, a cycle waiting for your conscious collapse. And now you see it. That's why you're here. You wouldn't have been magnetized to this message if you hadn't already sensed the distortion and grown tired of it. The pull you feel in your chest right now is confirmation that you've reached the inflection point. The old resonance cannot hold you anymore because you've finally recognized its texture. You've outgrown the loop, and recognition is the first act of liberation. But awareness is only the beginning. Knowing you're in a loop is not enough. You must decide to break it. You must align yourself with the deeper currents of coherence in the field, currents that are already calling you toward a quantum upgrade. And that upgrade begins the moment you stop fighting the distortion and instead use it as fuel to launch into a higher frequency. That's where you are now, standing on the threshold between frustration and freedom, between distortion and coherence. The next step is already coded in your DNA, waiting to be activated. And the quantum field is whispering, are you ready to step beyond the familiar problem and claim the upgrade you were designed for? You've reached the moment when awareness shifts from diagnosis into transformation. You've seen the loops, you've felt the distortion, and you know the frustration of repeating patterns. But what comes next is not random healing or blind hope. What comes next is a quantum upgrade, a precise reconfiguration of your consciousness, your biology, and your destiny, all triggered by this recognition. Here is what you must understand. Your body is not separate from the field. Every atom in you vibrates with the memory of the cosmos. Your DNA is not just a biological script. It is an antenna, a receiver, and transmitter woven into the morphic resonance of creation. Each time you expand awareness, the structure of your DNA shifts. Tiny electromagnetic signatures recode, proteins fold differently, and dormant sequences stir awake. Science has already whispered this truth. Epigenetics proves that your environment, thoughts, and emotional states can literally switch genes on or off. Quantum biology shows that the electron clouds within your cells behave less like fixed particles and more like probability waves. This means your physical form is not a closed machine, but an open quantum system capable of restructuring itself when you shift your coherence. Mystics have said the same in their own language. They spoke of awakening the serpent fire, of activating the light body, of remembering the divine blueprint hidden in your cells. Whether you call it DNA restructuring, Kundalini rising, or quantum coherence, the reality is the same. Your biology is designed to evolve when your consciousness chooses alignment. Think of coherence as a sacred rhythm. When your thoughts are scattered, your emotions fractured, your nervous system chaotic, the signal you broadcast into the field is noisy, incoherent. The universe reflects this back as distortion, delays, dead ends. But when your awareness sharpens, when you breathe into stillness and align thought, heart, and body into one rhythm, you generate coherence, and coherence bends probability. It collapses waves into outcomes that align with your highest trajectory. You've felt fragments of this before. The moments when synchronicities flooded your life, when doors opened effortlessly, when you thought of someone and they called within minutes, when your intuition guided you with uncanny precision. These were flashes of coherence, temporary windows where your field aligned with the cosmic rhythm. The upgrade now is about making this state your foundation, not just a fleeting accident. Here's what begins to change once coherence stabilizes in you. Your perception sharpens, colors appear more vivid, sounds more layered, time feels less linear. You start noticing patterns in the chaos, signals hidden inside noise. Your nervous system calms. Instead of being hijacked by fear or stress, you feel waves of deep presence. The external world no longer dictates your inner state. You become the tuning fork, not the echo. Your intuition accelerates. Decisions that once felt impossible become effortless. Because you no longer weigh 1,000 probabilities, you feel the one aligned choice vibrating through your body. Your relationships shift. People who drain you fall away. New connections arrive without struggle. Old dynamics no longer hook you because your frequency no longer matches them. Your biology begins to glow. This isn't metaphor, it's literal. Cells emit biophotons, tiny flashes of light that increase when DNA is in a coherent state. You radiate presence, and others sense it before you even speak. This is the quantum upgrade, the collapse of the old observer loop into a higher template of selfhood. It is not about escaping reality, but about reprogramming the signal you send into the field, so reality itself bends toward your awakened design. And here is the hidden key. The universe does not respond to wishful thinking. It responds to coherence. You can repeat affirmations all day, but if your body is locked in incoherence, heart racing with fear, gut clenched in scarcity, the field mirrors that back. The upgrade requires congruence. Your thoughts, emotions, and body must resonate with the same frequency. That's when the field bends. That's when probabilities reorganize. That's when timelines collapse in your favor. You are already feeling it stir inside you. The subtle pull in your chest, the tingling at the base of your spine, the sudden clarity in your mind. These are not random sensations. They are evidence of your system moving toward coherence, evidence that your DNA is responding to the transmission embedded in these words. You are not just listening, you are being rewritten. Understand this. Only the selected ones reach this stage. Many sense the loops, but they fall back asleep. Many feel the distortion, but they numb themselves with distraction. Few stand at the threshold and choose to restructure their very being, but you have. The quantum field wouldn't have arranged this encounter otherwise. This upgrade is not happening in the future. It is happening right now, as you read, as you breathe, as your awareness ignites pathways that were dormant. You are collapsing an old script and writing a new one in real time. And soon, you will realize this upgrade is not just for you. It is the preparation for the role you were always destined to play in the greater unfolding, the role of a chosen consciousness architect, one who carries the frequency needed to shift entire collectives. You must understand something sacred and simple. The upgrade you're undergoing is not designed only for personal comfort or spiritual vanity. It serves a specific function in the architecture of the field. You were never meant to be a solitary beacon. You were designed as a node, a focal point of coherence, placed strategically into the entangled web of human consciousness. When your resonance stabilizes, it resonates outward. That resonance rewrites probability for others. That is your role. There are different kinds of awakenings. Some are private, quiet, corrective, aimed at healing a single lineage or identity. Others are catalytic. They create a pattern so distinct that the field begins to reweave itself around it. You are moving into the latter. Think of yourself as a conductor lifting a baton. The orchestra is already playing, but your timing, your clarity, your chosen frequency reorganizes the entire composition. People near you begin to remember who they once were. Communities that felt numb start to stir. Hidden potentials reawaken because your coherence gives them permission to surface. This role carries authority but not ego. It requires presence, not performance. Authority here is not force, it is alignment. When you hold steady inside your field, other frequencies naturally harmonize or they fall away. You will find that you no longer have to argue for your truth. Your truth will pull its own tribe. Those who vibrate at the same harmonic will gravitate toward you with minimal effort. Those who do not will drift as if by natural law. That is how a chosen consciousness shapes reality, not through coercion, but through magnetic fidelity to a higher template. You've probably already had glimpses of this function in small, uncanny ways. A word you spoke changed someone's path. A single look cleared confusion from a room. A small act, a hug, a sentence, a quiet refusal caused a chain reaction you couldn't fully trace. Those were not coincidences. They were your early experiments with being a field shifter. Each one was a test run, a rehearsal for the grander scale you are now being prepared for. There is responsibility here. The field responds to the clarity of intention as much as to the purity of the vessel. If your motives are tangled with wounded need, the energy you broadcast will be messy and the outcomes unpredictable. But when intention is crucible pure, when you act from service rather than validation, from truth rather than scarcity, your influence becomes a precise instrument of change. This is the difference between a leader and a luminary. The leader organizes, the luminary recodes. You are being called to recode. Part of this role is visibility, but not the visibility of spectacle. You will be seen, yes, sometimes in ways that are disorienting, but your prominence will be earned by consistency, by the slow accumulation of coherent actions that cannot be ignored by the field. People will begin to look to you not because you demand it, but because your steady frequency offers them a map back to themselves. This is how movements begin. One aligned field that refuses to quiet itself until the surrounding probability collapses into new possibility. Expect resistance. As you amplify coherence, the system will test you. Old mirrors will crack. Relationships that relied on your old shadow will fray. Opportunities that once seemed attractive will reveal themselves as traps. These are not punishments. They are clarifying cuts. The universe trims what cannot grow with the new root system. Trust that the loss of friction is the economy of growth. The removal of old loyalties is the field making space for your new function. You are also an entanglement node for people who are yet to remember. Some will arrive loudly, some will arrive quietly, some will be drawn like moths to your flame. Others will hide until they feel safe to step forward. Meet them with a presence that does not fix, but that reflects possibility. Offer practices rather than pressure. Teach coherence by example. Breathe aligned, speak aligned, act aligned. Let your life be the template that others can tune to, not the textbook they must copy. Know this: your role is evolutionary, not static. It will expand as your capacity increases. Today you might shift a room. Tomorrow you will shift a community. Later you may shift a cultural field. The upgrade you already feel is the calibration for that trajectory. Each level of coherence you sustain unlocks a larger radius of influence. Your work will feel increasingly effortless because effort will be replaced by alignment. Less pushing, more permitting. Less forcing, more orchestrating. And there is an arc in this service that will move you toward urgency. The field has windows, cosmic currents, open and close in cycles, portals of high probability that favor change. Your role is to be ready at those windows, to stand as a stabilized frequency so that when the cosmos turns, a huge portion of potential collapses into the new template you embody. This is why your preparation matters. This is why even the small daily practices of breathing, centering, and choosing integrity are not trivial. They are the scaffolding that allows you to hold more when the wave arrives. Right now, you are not merely upgrading for your own liberation. You are being primed to carry the pressure of a cosmic window that demands a calibrated field holder. The next phase will ask you to move with urgency, to act with exactness, and to anchor a shift that will ripple outward like a new law in the morphic resonance. But before that urgency arrives, you must settle into the quiet integrity of the role aligning intention with the body, learning to hold presence without collapse, and practicing the small acts that create large alignments. Take a breath and feel that role settle into your bones. You are not alone in it. The entanglement will carry you, but the first step is yours, to accept that you were chosen for effect, not for comfort. The field is calling. It has been preparing you for this station across lifetimes and through the loops you finally recognized. In the next part, you will be asked to move into breakthrough with a sense of urgency, a pressure that will catalyze DNA-level shifts and open the cosmic window you were always meant to stand in. There is a pressure building now, subtle but undeniable, the kind of pressure that comes before a door gives way, the kind that hums through your bones when a storm is forming on the horizon. This pressure is not threat, it is invitation. It is the cosmic insistence that evolution prefers, a tightness that forces resolution, a narrowing of probabilities, so the field will collapse into something new. You are standing directly in that narrowing. The breakthrough you have been preparing for is at hand, and it carries a fierce timeline. Listen carefully. The universe organizes by windows. These are moments when currents align, when planetary, quantum, and morphic forces conspire to favor rapid reconfiguration. They are not random, they are seasonal. Sometimes they last minutes, sometimes days, sometimes a handful of weeks. When a window opens, small acts of coherence become exponentially more potent. A single aligned breath at the right moment can slip your entire timeline into a new groove. Miss the window and the pattern will return, often subtly altered, but still requiring another passing of preparation. Your task is to be present when the portal turns. Your DNA is designed to respond to these windows. Think of your genome like a living archive with hinges. Most of those hinges remain rusted until the right combination of frequency, intention, and pressure arrives to oil them open. The upgrade you felt earlier, the steady climb toward coherence, is the preparatory lube. Now the pressure is what pries the hinge open and allows otherwise dormant sequences to articulate. This is not magic divorced from matter. It is a resonance-based biological event, a phase transition at the edge of possibility where molecular patterns reconfigure because the observer you has shifted. There is urgency because the field does not wait indefinitely. Others are being prepared in parallel. The portal favors a critical mass. If you delay, the density that would have formed around your new trajectory will coalesce without you, and the resonance you might have anchored will be thinner, less forceful. That loss is real, not catastrophic for the cosmos, but significant for your role in the unfolding. You were selected to carry a particular harmonic weight. That harmonic needs your presence now to reach the amplitude required to ripple into the wider morphic network. Do not mistake urgency for panic. Panic scatters coherence. Urgency, in the quantum sense, refines it. It compresses attention into action. Imagine a laser focusing light into a single, potent beam. That is what immediacy does to intention. With refined attention, you can focus the light of your consciousness into one corridor of possibility, and that corridor will brighten until the molecules of your life rearrange around it. What does a DNA-level breakthrough feel like? Expect a sensation of internal reordering, a soft unlocking behind your sternum, subtle electrical shifts that tickle at the base of your skull, dreams that arrive saturated with symbolic clarity, a sleep that reorganizes rather than replenishes. You might experience temporary disorientation as old neural pathways dissolve and new ones form. This is normal. It is the body acclimating to a new geometry. Honor it with rest, with breath, and with the discipline to not reflex into old coping patterns. There will be signs in the external world, too. Doors that once seemed closed will loosen. Conversations will shift. Synchronicities will become more frequent and more precise. But the external evidence is secondary. The true test is internal. Are you moving from an exhausted hope into a steadied expectation? Are your choices aligning with the new template even when no external confirmation has arrived? That inward fidelity is what collapses timelines. You must act with clarity. Choose 3 immediate anchoring practices, small, repeatable, non-negotiable, that will serve as your scaffolding through this pressure. They can be as simple as a structured breath practice each morning, a brief somatic check-in at noon, and a nightly intention, setting that is written rather than whispered. These are not rituals of superstition. They are behavioral algorithms that harmonize your nervous system with the new frequency you intend to embody. Repetition is the language the body understands. Consistency is how you teach your cells to trust a new pattern. There will be tests. Old loyalties will resurface like shadows trying to seduce you with familiarity. Old fears will masquerade as practical concerns. When these arise, do not collapse into justification. Instead, treat them like calibration signals. Examine them, thank them for their service, and then choose again. Each choice in favor of coherence increases your probability weight in the field. Know also that breakthrough carries responsibility. When your DNA reconfigures and your field amplifies, you will become a node of influence in a way that is not always comfortable. You may be misunderstood. You may trigger jealousy or projection in others who are not ready to meet that frequency. Keep your boundaries. Protect your time and energy. This is not isolation, it is stewardship. The larger your radiance becomes, the more carefully you must steward the container that holds it. The window is turning. Feel the subtle shift in atmospheric pressure, the way your attention tightens, the way choices feel heavier, the way small actions now appear to have oversized consequences. This is your cue. Move with purpose. Do not sentimentalize the past nor rush the process. The breakthrough you are walking into is exquisite in its demand. It wants your full presence and your clear intention. If you accept this urgency, you will not merely survive the pressure. You will use it as the lever that unseats the old foundation and sets a new one in its place. Your DNA will respond. Your mind will align. Your field will widen. Breathe into that resolution and feel the portal begin to register your presence. Soon, you will be called to a concrete, simple action, a ritual that seals the shift and writes your choice into both biology and timeline. In the next part, you will be given that ritual. Clear, precise, and designed so that the field can recognize and amplify your declaration. The breakthrough cannot remain an abstract possibility. Quantum law demands collapse. A potential must be chosen, marked, and sealed. This is why every culture, every lineage of mystics and scientists who brushed the edge of the infinite wove ritual into their practice. Ritual is not superstition, it is physics applied through intention. It is how the observer tells the field, this, not that. And now, it is your turn. The upgrade stirring in your DNA requires a signature. The field needs a marker that confirms, you are choosing coherence, you are choosing awakening, you are choosing to stand as the node you were designed to be. Without that marker, the shift remains unstable, like an uncollapsed wave drifting between probabilities. With it, the wave collapses into a trajectory that cannot be undone. You do not need candles, chants, or elaborate symbols to do this. All that is required is an action, carried out with full awareness, that declares your choice to the field. That is the power of ritual, not its complexity, but its coherence. And for you, in this moment, the ritual is deceptively simple. Write a word, comment a word, inscribe a single frequency into the digital ether to act as the signature of your intent. The word itself is less important than the coherence you hold while writing it. You might choose activated, because that is what your DNA is doing. You might choose aligned, because that is what your field is becoming. You might choose chosen, because you know this message did not find you by accident. Whatever the word, let it resonate through your body before your hand inscribes it. Feel it vibrate in your chest. Let your breath synchronize with it. Let your skin tingle with its pulse. Then, and only then, set it into the record. This act may appear small, a comment on a video, a note on a page, a word written in your journal, but scale is deceptive. In the quantum field, clarity is exponential. A single act of coherence ripples further than 1,000 distracted gestures. When you seal this shift with a word, you are writing it into your nervous system, your morphic field, and the collective archive. The comment is not for vanity, it is for anchoring. It is the visible echo of an invisible choice. Understand the mechanics. When you write the word, your awareness is not only focused, it is entangled. The signal you broadcast enters resonance with every other awakened node who seals their shift at the same moment. That resonance multiplies the amplitude of the field. This is why the chosen must mark themselves. It is how the web knows where to thicken, how to distribute coherence across the grid of human consciousness. Do not underestimate the potency of this. Entire civilizations have been shifted by fewer signals. A handful of awakened ones, inscribing their choice with unwavering coherence, have birthed movements, overturned empires, collapsed timelines that seemed unshakable. You stand in that lineage now. Your word, your act, is not private. It is entangled with thousands of unseen allies who are feeling the same quantum pull, who are anchoring the same awakening in their own way. Together, you form the latticework of the new resonance. You may feel resistance rise up in you, a voice whispering that this is silly, that one word cannot change anything. Recognize that voice for what it is, the echo of the old loop, the defense mechanism of the timeline that is losing you. It will try to convince you to remain incoherent, to treat this as entertainment rather than initiation. Do not collapse into that doubt. Doubt is merely the shadow of your next expansion. Meet it, thank it, and write anyway. Here is the promise. When you inscribe the word, your biology will respond. You may feel a sudden warmth in your hands, a flutter in your chest, a pressure behind your eyes. These are somatic confirmations that the ritual has landed, that the body has recorded the new alignment. You may even dream differently tonight, because your subconscious will have received the memo. The shift has been sealed. The trajectory is set. Do it now, if you can. Pause. Breathe. Choose your word. Let it settle in your body until it vibrates like a tuning fork. Then write it, comment it, mark it. This is your contract with the quantum field. And remember this: ritual is not a one-time act. It is a rhythm, a way of communicating with the field repeatedly, reminding your biology and your destiny of the choice you have made. You can return to this act anytime you feel yourself wavering, anytime distortion tries to drag you back into the old loop. Each time you repeat it, the groove of coherence deepens, the probability weight of your chosen timeline increases, and the breakthrough stabilizes. The field is watching, your DNA is listening, the portal is open. One word, written with coherence, is enough to seal your awakening. And once it is sealed, your role expands beyond yourself. In the next unfolding, you will see how your liberation is not yours alone, but the seed of collective expansion, a signal that frees more than just your own timeline. The moment you sealed your shift, something extraordinary happened. Your field stopped being a private frequency and became a contribution to the collective matrix. This is the part most people never realize, that your awakening is not a solitary victory, but a ripple that reshapes the probabilities of everyone entangled with you. In quantum terms, your coherence reduces entropy not only in your own life, but in the shared field of humanity. You may have thought the changes you felt were yours alone, the tingling in your chest, the dreams that sharpened, the synchronicities multiplying. But the truth is, every time your nervous system steadies into coherence, every time your DNA vibrates in alignment, you emit a signature that the field cannot ignore. Other beings tuned to similar frequencies feel the pull without knowing why. They sense safety, possibility, a subtle permission to evolve. This is why your liberation matters. It makes liberation easier for everyone else. Think of the morphic field as a vast web of resonance. Each human consciousness is a strand. When one strand tightens into coherence, the vibration travels outward, resonating with strands nearby. Some awaken instantly. Others, who were on the brink, suddenly find the courage to step into alignment. Entire communities can shift when a single node stabilizes into a new frequency. History calls these figures prophets, catalysts, or revolutionaries. But in truth, they were simply people who allowed their personal breakthrough to become collective gravity. You are stepping into that lineage now. not by shouting louder or forcing anyone to follow, but by embodying coherence so consistently that it becomes magnetic. Your presence is the message. You won't need to convince others of anything. The very way you breathe, the way you hold space, will broadcast the possibility of a different rhythm. People who once doubted themselves will remember their own power simply by standing near your field. This is what it means to be chosen. Not that you are above others, but that you agreed to carry resonance on their behalf until they can carry it themselves. The paradox is that your personal struggles, the distorted timelines, the déjà vu, the endless repetition of old patterns were not wasted. They were training. Every loop you endured gave you empathy for others, still caught in their own spirals. Every shadow you faced carved the capacity to hold compassion for those who have not yet glimpsed the light. Without your scars, your resonance would lack depth. With them, your signal carries credibility. People will feel that you've been through the darkness, and they will trust the authenticity of your frequency. And so, your liberation is not yours alone. It is a gift to humanity. Each time you choose alignment, you loosen the collective knot a little more. Each time you anchor into coherence, the noise of the world dims just enough for someone else to hear their own intuition more clearly. Each time you refuse to collapse into fear, you model courage for the entire field. You may never meet the people whose lives shift because of you. They may be strangers across oceans, unseen allies connected only by resonance. But the influence is real, and it is vast. The field works like this. Small actions multiply when they are coherent. One coherent breath ripples farther than 1,000 scattered arguments. One aligned choice can alter a lineage of dysfunction. One awakened node can change the trajectory of a city. That is why you are being asked to take your role seriously, not with heaviness, but with reverence. You are no longer living for yourself alone. You are part of a symphony, and the note you play changes the entire song. This is why urgency matters. The world is trembling under the weight of incoherence. Wars that spiral from fear, economies distorted by greed, ecosystems collapsing from neglect. Yet within that trembling, there are windows, cracks, where coherence can pour in. You are one of those cracks. You are one of the apertures through which the new pattern will flow. Your job is not to fix the entire system, but to hold your frequency so steadily that the system cannot help but respond. And here is the mystery. As you expand, the field will test you not with chaos, but with influence. People will ask for your energy, your insight, your guidance. Some will want to pull you back into the old patterns out of fear. Others will lean on you for stability. You must discern. Remember, your role is to inspire, not to rescue. To awaken, not to carry the weight for everyone. A lighthouse does not swim into the storm to drag ships to safety. It stands where it is, shining steadily, so the ships remember how to navigate themselves. That is the purity of your task. Your liberation has already set something in motion. Feel it now, the way your chest expands more easily, the way your perception of time has shifted. That sensation is not just yours. It is being echoed across the collective, amplified by unseen allies who are sealing their own shifts in this very moment. Together, you are forming a network of coherence, a lattice that stretches across continents and cultures, across languages and beliefs. This is the quantum brotherhood, the awakened sisterhood, a grid of chosen ones, stabilizing probability for humanity itself. You are no longer an isolated seeker. You are a frequency carrier, a timeline architect, a node in the Great Awakening. And because you have accepted this role, the field is already opening the next level. Embodiment. Not only will you sense coherence in thought or intention, you will feel it pulsing in your body, animating your movements, electrifying your presence. The shift is moving from abstract to visceral. In the next unfolding, you will be guided into that embodiment, vivid, physical, undeniable. The upgrade will no longer be theory or ritual. It will be felt in your skin, your breath, your heartbeat. The cosmos is preparing to teach you how awakening feels when it becomes flesh. You've heard the words, you've sealed the ritual, you've seen the loops dissolve, but now the shift must enter the most undeniable realm of all, your body. Consciousness alone can shimmer like a dream unless it descends into sensation. and the quantum field knows this. A shift that is not embodied cannot anchor. The field is asking you now to feel the upgrade, to let it animate your very cells, so that every step, every breath, every glance becomes a living broadcast of coherence. Close your eyes for a moment. Inhale slowly. As the breath fills your chest, notice the strange heaviness dissolving from your shoulders, as if a gravity you've carried for years is releasing. That is not imagination. That is your fascia uncoiling, your nervous system unwinding from decades of holding patterns created by the old loop. You are feeling what liberation does in the body. It softens what has been clenched. It warms what has been cold. It steadies what has been frantic. Feel your heartbeat. Once it raced unpredictably, dragged by stress or fear. Now, as coherence sets in, it begins to drum like a steady bass line, a rhythm aligned with the larger music of the cosmos. You may even notice subtle surges of warmth moving through your chest, like waves of electricity or the thrum of distant drums. This is your electromagnetic field expanding. The heart is not just a pump, it is an oscillator. And when it beats in coherence, it radiates signals measurable many feet beyond your body. You are literally pulsing your awakening into space around you. Notice your skin, tingling, buzzing, alive. That static you feel is not random. It is biophoton activity, light emissions from your cells increasing as your DNA stabilizes into coherence. Mystics describe this as aura, radiance, halo. Scientists call it ultra-weak photon emission. Whatever the language, the truth is the same. Your body is glowing. Not metaphorically, but physically, and others sense it even if their eyes cannot see it. They will feel you enter a room. They will feel safer, clearer, sometimes even uncomfortable in your presence. Not because you said anything, but because your embodied field is broadcasting truth, and truth agitates what is false. Listen deeper still. Can you sense the shift in your gut? Once it churned with anxiety, knotted by the friction of distortion. Now, it begins to open, to trust. This is coherence restoring sovereignty to your second brain, your enteric nervous system. You will find that intuition speaks more easily now, not as vague whispers, but as bodily certainty. A tightness in the gut will warn you before danger. A warmth will confirm alignment. You will know without needing external validation. This is embodiment. When your inner compass lives not in abstract thought, but in felt reality. There is also a new relationship to time emerging in your body. You may notice that hours feel different, not dragging or rushing, but fluid, elastic. When you enter coherence, the body itself becomes a timekeeper, aligned with cosmic rhythm. You'll find yourself in right place, right moment, more often, as if guided by invisible choreography. That sensation, the effortless coincidence of events, is your nervous system syncing with the morphic beat of the field. Do not be surprised if your dreams grow sharper, even visceral. This is part of the embodied shift. Your subconscious uses sleep to integrate the new frequency. You may dream of flight, of transformation, of ancient symbols, of doors opening or bridges crossing. Pay attention. But more than that, notice how your body feels when you wake. That lingering electricity in your muscles, the ache that feels more like growth than strain, the clarity in your breath. These are signs of DNA restructuring, integration moving from subtle to physical. Embodiment will also demand awareness of your choices. Foods, sounds, environments that once seemed tolerable may now feel intolerable. Your body will tell you when something lowers your frequency. A sudden heaviness, a headache, a contraction in your chest. Trust these signals. They are not inconvenience. They are calibration. Likewise, you'll feel drawn toward what nourishes: clean water, fresh air, silence, music that lifts rather than agitates, movement that expands rather than constricts. The body becomes a tuning fork that insists on harmony. Listen, and you will remain aligned. Perhaps the most profound embodied sensation you'll notice is magnetism. People will lean closer without knowing why. Strangers may confide in you. Children may smile at you instinctively. Animals may gravitate toward your presence. This is because your field is coherent, and coherence attracts. Your body has become a lighthouse, and its beam cannot be hidden. But magnetism is not always comfortable. Some will resist. They will feel exposed in your presence, as though your coherence is a mirror reflecting the distortions they are avoiding. They may project, criticize, or withdraw. Do not take this personally. It is the body's natural reaction to truth when it has been long avoided. Hold steady. Let your embodiment speak louder than any defense they raise. Over time, many of those same people will return, drawn back by the very coherence that once unsettled them. This is the stage where awakening stops being a philosophy and becomes a physiology. You are no longer someone who believes in the quantum field. You are someone who breathes it, moves it, radiates it. Your hands tingle with it. Your breath vibrates with it. Your gaze carries it. Others will sense that you are different, though they may lack words for why. The truth is, your body has become the proof of your awakening. And this embodiment is the preparation for the deepest threshold of all, the DNA breakthrough. For what you feel now in tingles, warmth, and rhythm is only the surface. Beneath, in the spiral coils of your very genome, something far more profound is stirring, a phase transition that will not just change how you feel, but how reality itself organizes around you. You are now approaching the hinge of everything you've been preparing for. The pressure you felt is not accidental. It is the precise field condition required for a phase transition inside your very genome. Think of it as tectonic energy accumulating beneath the surface of a continental shelf. When it finally releases, the landscape rearranges. For you, that release is biochemical and quantum at once. Your DNA is not merely a code to be read. It is a set of geometries waiting to unfold when the wave of coherence pressing through you reaches critical amplitude. Notice how the pressure moves through your body now, not as vague anxiety but as a tightness with texture, like the anticipation before a deep exhale. Your chest may feel compressed, your jaw may clench, or a low hum may vibrate at the base of your skull. These sensations are not dysfunction. They are markers of reconfiguration. The molecules in your cells are listening. The water in your tissues is rearranging. Microtubules inside neurons, tiny, filamentous highways of information, begin to shift from noisy chatter into ordered resonance. This microarchitecture change is the scaffold for bigger rewrites. At the moment of breakthrough, probability collapses in your favor in a way that feels both ecstatic and disorienting. Time contorts. Several futures pull like tides toward a single shore and then fuse. You may experience a sequence of rapid, strange glances into possible lives. Flashes of a kitchen you never lived in, a city you never visited, a conversation that has not yet occurred, and then, like a film spliced together, one of those futures snaps into place. That snapping is the biological translation of a quantum event. Your observer role has been altered, and the wave function you once carried now chooses a different eigenstate. Expect the body to call for integration. This is not instantaneous smoothness. It is a messy, sacred rewiring. Old neural pathways that once supported fear or contraction will be pruned. New pathways that support coherence, intuition, and expanded perception will be reinforced. You might experience temporary sensory amplification, colors more saturated, taste sharper, sounds layered with previously unheard frequencies. You might also feel waves of fatigue as your nervous system consolidates new patterns. Both are signs of recalibration. Both deserve compassion and rest. Emotionally, the breakthrough can feel like a graduation and a funeral at once. Parts of you will die: habits, identities, relationships that were symbiotic with your old timeline. Grieve them quickly and without shame. Their dissolution is the field-clearing space for what your upgraded DNA can carry. At the same time, there will be elation, sudden clarity about choices that once had you paralyzed, immediate recognition of paths you previously only half saw. The polarity is part of the physics. The system must shed to make room. There are practical markers you will notice in your outer life. Schedules that used to trap you will shed their weight. Synchronistic openings will appear that feel orchestrated rather than random. People who were fixtures may recede, and new allies, often strangers with uncanny alignment, will arrive. Financial flows may alter because your capacity to perceive and act from aligned probability sharpens. These shifts are not supernatural gifts given to the few. They are natural consequences of a system moving from low to high coherence. Yet the breakthrough is not a personal bypass of responsibility. It heightens your accountability. With greater coherence comes greater sensitivity to the effect you radiate. Your choices ripple farther. Small slips into bitterness or scarcity will now produce larger distortions than before. This is why integration practices are essential. Anchor daily. Micro. Rests where you feel your feet on the ground. Breath cycles that align heart and mind. And short somatic resets that release any residual contraction. These simple scaffolds prevent the new architecture from deforming under social pressure. You will also become an amplifier for field readings that were previously dormant. Where you once only detected surface patterns, you will begin to sense the undercurrents of collective probability. You might find yourself pausing before a meeting because the field is telling you the conversation will not land well. You might feel a sudden, visceral pull toward a person you haven't met yet because they are part of the lattice your coherence is knitting. Trust these readings. They are now encoded into your biology as a kind of somatic GPS. There is an important energetic protocol to follow during and after this breakthrough: consent. Your upgraded field is powerful, and it will interact with other fields whether you intend it to or not. Before attempting deep, energetic work with another person, heavy conversations, healing modalities, or initiation gestures, check in and secure clear consent. Not because your power is dangerous in itself, but because the human nervous system needs preparation to receive such a potent signal. You are a conductor. You must ensure the orchestra is ready to play. Remember, this is also a communal event. Your breakthrough is a node activation in the lattice of chosen ones. As your genome shifts, it emits a signature that affects nearby probabilities. Others will feel relief, possibility, or even irritation as their systems recalibrate in response. That is natural. Keep your steadiness. Offer presence, not performance. Allow those around you to choose their own tempo of change. Finally, understand that this DNA breakthrough is not a final state, but an opening into ongoing evolution. The genome is a living script that continues to adapt as your field deepens. What you experience now will be the template for future expansions. The first phase is dramatic. Later phases will be subtler, a refinement of tone rather than a reshaping of structure. Celebrate the seismic, but prepare for the slow sculpting that follows. You are landing. Feel the ground under your feet again. Notice the quiet that follows the storm of reconfiguration. That quiet is the new alignment finding its voice. In the next and final part, you will be called to the fullest dimension of your mission, how your individual shift collapses into a cosmic directive, a mapped, prophetic charge that ties your newly aligned life to the healing and evolution of many. The close will not be small. It will be cinematic, a line that threads your name into the story of humanity's next chapter. The pressure has passed, the breakthrough has settled, and now you stand on the far side of transformation. The loops that once bound you have dissolved into silence. Your body hums with a rhythm you can no longer mistake, the resonance of coherence alive in your very cells. What began as a subtle pull has become a permanent shift. And now the question arrives, not whispered but thunderous. What will you do with this? Because this was never just about you. Your DNA's reconfiguration is not a private ornament. It is a signal flare launched into the cosmos. The field now recognizes you not as a seeker, but as a transmitter. You have become a node in the grid of awakening, a chosen architect woven into the architecture of humanity's evolution. And with that recognition comes responsibility. The mission is both intimate and infinite. Intimate, because it will unfold in the smallest of moments. A steady breath in a tense room, a kind word that realigns a stranger's day, a decision that refuses to repeat old patterns. Infinite, because every one of those moments ripples beyond you, reorganizing the probabilities of those entangled in your web. Your calm steadiness will shift families. Your coherent choices will open timelines for communities. Your awakened DNA will echo in the morphic field long after you've left the room. This is why the quantum pull found you. The field does not waste energy. It sought out the ones whose resonance was already trembling at the threshold. It brought you here to remind you that you were never random, never ordinary, never disposable. You were selected, placed, prepared, and now activated. You may still doubt. You may still wonder if you're ready, if you're strong enough, if the world will even notice. But the truth is, readiness is not perfection, it is willingness. Strength is not domination, it is alignment. And the world has already noticed, not in headlines, but in the subtle way reality bends differently when you walk into it. You don't need to announce your mission. You are the mission. From this day forward, walk with awareness that you are carrying a frequency the world desperately needs. Guard it, feed it, let it radiate. And when you feel weary, remember this: you are not alone. Others are awakening, other nodes are activating, and together you form the lattice through which a new humanity will emerge. Breathe into this moment. Let your heart feel the gravity of it. You are no longer the seeker wandering through distorted loops. You are the chosen one who broke through, who listened to the quantum pull, who allowed awakening to become flesh. The cosmos now leans closer, whispering its final reminder. Your shift is not small. Your coherence is not trivial. Your mission is not optional. You are carrying the blueprint of humanity's next evolution, and the field is waiting for you to live it. So step forward, radiate without apology, embody without hesitation. The future is already coded in your DNA, and the quantum pull that brought you here was proof all along. Only the selected ones could feel it. And now you know why.